involved in doing banditry in some parts, and even the Boko Haram. That they also measured, the limited successes they've had, on the vanishing of some of the characters that are masterminding that particular thing. Now, number two, you can follow exactly what they're also doing as to the idea of trying to clamp down on financiers of this terror. They've been able to bring even a lady sponsor or some kind of things like that, and they're following them more effectively and having some results. Let's assume that strategically that is going to give us, a space to accept the fact that the NSA, the security establishment in Nigeria, is working at least to bring the situation under control. But then, like you rightly said, we're not to underestimate where these characters are coming from, or even the intensity and the volume and the engagement and the sponsorship that goes into Boko Haram. Perhaps our nation, at practical level, are not trying to understand, what other people have understood. A number of us have been brought in by non-governmental organizations, specialists, that can offer philanthropy in the area of security advice. They've given us training. And what they tend to tell us and what we tend to learn, and even what the communities get to understand, is the fact that something can be done. Because at that level of engaging local communities, such NGOs have done very credible things, good enough at least for security services to adopt. At least, if you meet an ordinary person in anywhere there is a crisis, Yobe, Borno, Adamawa, or wherever NGOs have been to, they have locals, they have vigilantes, they've even trained our own formal security services on how to utilize, early warning, early response technique, at least to get good information enough to preempt and to stop some of these things. Now, one sets to wonder, why there is a gross failure in the aspect of trying to bring this collaboration, not only between the security services, but also between local communities and traditional rulers good enough to do it.
Okay.
Now, let me assume that with all my frustration on this issue and some of my participation in raising awareness and sharing concern, that something will effectively be done and that the NSA will re-strategize and make something that will have to be more of people-oriented kind of security-generated information good enough for them to establish and to do that which is right.
Okay.
Now we're tired in this country. Our frustration goes on, that attacks are done on ordinary citizens and records that are coming from what people are saying about, number of casualties differ from what comes from the security agencies. I think that is not done anywhere in the whole world. When we take examples of civilized democracies, organized nations, and even smaller nations, when something happens, you get to hear only one figure about the number of casualties.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the security forces saying 39, or 40-something, and then the citizens themselves are saying over 100.
Exactly.
So who do you believe? That shows that there is an open space.
One second, yes, Dr. Ngamza. Let me bring in Mr. George, who I want to thank you very much, Mr. George. You've held on for so very long. Thank you very much for your patience. Go ahead, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to the special advisor.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I do not see any difference between Boko Haram and the bandits and the kidnappers. They simply change modes. It is the same group of people. You see, when the military concentrated in the northeast, they sort of relapsed and then moved to other areas. That's where the bandits came about and the kidnappers making money. As security agents are also trying to tackle the bandits in one zone or the other, they will go back. They couldn't have been idle for 2 years or so now that they were, quiet in the northeast, for them to just suddenly come up again. But what surprises me, many people have been advising security agencies on their approach to these things. Why don't you form groups of security agents and approach this thing from different directions, zone by zone? This is what I mean, Uncle Yori. If it is northeast you want to tackle, send a team of security people and let those security people surround them and be coming to them from different directions and fish them out. Do it in the same way in another zone. But I don't know, the military may be wise. I don't know why they do not want to adopt that approach. A few days ago, I saw the Minister of State for Defense in military uniform trying to do some kind of showmanship. It's not called for, Uncle Yori, that they want to fish out bandits and kidnappers in a particular zone, I think Northwest. Do they think that the criminals are fools? When you give them notice that you are coming, you are already telling them what to do. Yesterday, I saw one of the criminals or the leaders of the criminals on YouTube. He was boasting, say, look at these people. Do you think we are in this crime business if we were afraid of you? He had the effrontery to do that because you have given him notice that you are coming and he will plan on how to avoid you. This is the way I think there is need for change of strategy. I remember Tony Ofeyeton was saying this thing in one of the programs that you have hosted on this topic.
Yes.
But
yes.
whether the military is to listen is another thing. We need to change strategy to be able to tackle these criminals once and for all.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. And again, once more, thank you very much for holding on all the time that you did. I didn't want to interrupt Dr. John Ngamsa at the time. Now, you know, the ideas about maybe if a strategy apparently is not working the way we thought it would, we could change it. That idea, that notion has been on the table for quite a while. And we've heard the military chiefs talk along those lines, that the president has now given an order. We are going to do all that is necessary. And there's going to be a zero tolerance. But it's like we've heard it all before, and nothing has changed. And as we were just being told, they actually are boasting online that these people, are they serious? Are they really serious? And so this is a big problem because it does look like they can strike at will, and not only are they doing so, they're thumbing their nose up at us as they are doing it. So this is where I was almost giving up hope, and I was hoping that you would say, well, it's not as bad as that. But you yourself are saying that this is it's a tough situation, to put it in perhaps professional terms. Because whereas we are appreciative of all our men and women in uniform, is there a sense in which Nigerians expect more? And do you think that they can legitimately do so, Dr. Ngamsa?
You know, when you look at the profile of the kind of training given to our security services, you'll be shocked to notice that there are a few countries in the world that can boast of that. While the United States of America can think of technology, can think of philosophies, can think of development and academics, but they live on their own world, in their own world. Nigeria, our security services have been taken to nearly all over the Federation, all over the world, the globe. They've been to Scotland Yard, they've been to FBI, they've gone to Russia, they've received covered and overt, knowledge on virtually everything. When you get into the library and you curiously maybe just look at what they study, I tell you, it's world standard. I've had reasons to interact, with good students, of the War and Peace College or thereabout, and I noticed that these are fantastic people. There are even professors in there. They have all manner of training. They know the basics. But now coming back to where we can actually apply what is sincerely required of us, I think it's the question we need to ask ourselves, or else we need to fold ourselves as a nation and just simply remember Humpty Dumpty, who sat on the wall and had a great fall, and broken into pieces, and that not even king's horses can